Hey, y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Brandon Gill just takes down every single one of Stacey Plaskett's talking points. Even her fellow Democrats were embarrassed by this one. Let's dive in.
This committee is charged with a budget. And most of us would think that our ideal budget would be to either reduce the debt or at least level it out. But that's not what we're doing. We are going to raise the debt by the budget that we have proposed here today. We're going to raise it because what we need to do is ensure that tax cuts become permanent for individuals who probably don't need tax cuts. We're going to do that and try and justify some of the cuts that we're going to do and ensure that those individuals that we are making those cuts on, the people that are most affected by that, are the working class, working Americans, the real Americans, not that minuscule set of individuals who are going to get the benefit of this budget proposal that we had. We are proposing $230 billion in cuts to food assistance programs, $330 billion in cuts to student aid, which means that, as many of us had been taught, that education was the key to having prosperity in America, that education is the roadway for one to be able to grow your family, to create stability. But we're gonna cut that out for so many Americans because we think they should pull themselves up by their bootstraps. They should figure it out on their own.
My friend from the great state of Texas, Mr. Brandon Gill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your leadership for fiscal discipline in the House and through this entire reconciliation process. It really has been incredible. It's a little entertaining to hear my colleagues on the other side of the aisle talk about fiscal discipline whenever they've never seen a foreign country they don't want to shower American tax dollars with. They've never seen an illegal alien that they don't want to give amnesty and welfare to. They've never seen a left-wing organization that they don't want to launder our tax dollars to. The only area they can ever agree on cutting is whenever the goal is to tear down our military. And now all of a sudden they are the fiscal hawks of the House. It's really, really rich. But I'd like to talk about something else here. Again, thank you, Chairman Arrington. Mr. Winfrey, thank you for being here and for taking the time and for your advice throughout this process. But I'd like to ask you about repealing the Inflation Reduction Act. Do you think that that's an efficient way to cut government spending?
I do, yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about how much we might be able to save and where some of those areas are?
Some estimates put the IRA subsidies in the ballpark of $700 to $800 billion over 10 years.
Got it. And how might this give us perhaps the flexibility to help pass President Trump's agenda through reconciliation?
Well, rather than targeted subsidies to businesses, it would allow the tax cuts to be even lower than they otherwise would be. So you're not picking winners and losers. You're rather allowing people to do what they want with their own money.
Right, that's right. And we've seen the Biden administration launder billions of dollars through EV charging stations and other kinds of green energy scams. Even after they've been proven to be wildly ineffective, we spent billions of dollars. Come to find out years later, they hadn't built a single charger. And yet the Biden administration continued to pour more and more money into EV charging stations. We spent $521 million in August of 2024 and $635 million in January following that. This is a ridiculous use of taxpayer monies. Do you think that we should continue any of these programs?
You know, I wouldn't. But that, again, that's because I don't think that the government should be picking winners and losers with these subsidy programs. I think that we should trust people with their own resources.
Got it. Do you think that they've been effective at lowering energy costs or emissions?
No, it seems to me like they haven't been very effective at all in doing that. They haven't been effective in doing what they were intended to do, like building EV charging stations.
The federal government does a very bad job in picking winners and losers outside of, let's be honest, the military-industrial complex. They're not good when they hand out contracts to certain individuals who, and when I say individuals, I basically mean corporations. As a former park ranger, I'm still horrified by the way you have to go through this ridiculous website in order to get a campsite on federal lands. We know that the federal government is terrible at picking winners and losers, and some of it's by design, some of it's by incompetence. We used to live in an era where it was just incompetence. Now it's by design. We've realized, sort of as a country, and our politicians figured this out about 15 years ago, that if you get your buddies onto an advisory board with a non-government organization or a lower-level firm, you can get someone to bring in to a major spending bill a wonderful little idea of, hey, give us some money and don't ask questions. Hey, y'all. About half this country has high blood pressure. And with Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, that means you are going to be sitting across from people that you love that are likely affected by it. Some might not know it, some might not talk about it, but that's why this is the perfect moment to take charge of your health or help someone else with theirs. Go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com and use my code BRAWL for 20% off. Try it risk-free for 2 weeks. And if your blood pressure doesn't come down, you're going to get a full refund. So there's nothing to lose except your high blood pressure numbers. So use code BRAWL for 20% off of your order today. Quite literally, that is government corruption, and it happens on a constant basis. So Brandon Gill and this witness here is pointing out the obvious. Meanwhile, Stacey Plaskett is still focused on the already debunked idea that, hey, if we cut taxes, we lose money. We cut taxes under Reagan, and we got more money into the Treasury than ever dreamed possible. We kept those tax cuts under Herbert Walker Bush. Bill Clinton couldn't get the political will to end those tax cuts. And guess what? The economy during those years, booming with technically two recessions, and it benefited everyone. Even under the recessionary process, everyone was able to weather the storm. Bush the Younger, W, did the exact same thing, cut taxes again. It worked so well that Barack Obama said, I'm not going to touch this. Because it made the government money and it made America money. The Trump tax cuts happened, and even under Joe Biden, which tried to undo everything the Trump administration did, he kept the tax cuts too. This is like the idea of, we need to raise the water levels in a river. Okay, release the sluice gates on the dam, raise the water levels. And the Democrats go, no, that's going to lower the amount in the dam. It is this really dumb process that requires essentially the lack of intelligence of their own voters. Which is ironic because Democrats think of themselves as the more enlightened party. They think of themselves as the individuals who are better educated than you. Sure. You know, intelligence is like the bell curve. You say something really basic on one side, and then in the middle of the IQ chart, you have people saying, no, that's not true. There's a whole list of reasons why. You cross over that end of the bell curve, you go to the other side, and you realize, the original statement was really intelligent. See, Ronald Reagan had it right that the Democrats just know so much that isn't so. They try to make exceptions to the rule, and it's a commendable thing. It is a commendable thing to say, yes, there are exceptions to the rule. That's why you don't need to paint with a broad brush. That's why the federal government should not be out of control. That's why things need to be under proper control. And the Democrats just look at you funny like you sprouted antlers and called yourself a jackalope. Which is ironic because which side of the political spectrum talks about gender ideology all the time? It is a foreign concept to these people that they aren't properly capable of understanding the behemoth that they constantly unleash, and then they're bewildered by the destruction that follows. You know, there's a flip side of this coin as well. There's a lot of Republicans that still don't understand the concept of you can't really tame the behemoth will tame you, or the Leviathan. There we go, that's a better way to describe it. Under George W. Bush, there was this common ideal that, if you give the bureaucrats the right kind of power with the right kind of people, everything will correct course. No, it won't. The bureaucrats will be consumed by the Leviathan. They'll become part of this weird hive mind, and the problems will get worse every single time. The whole idea of giving the government power is so they don't abuse it. And what happens every single time? If we're not vigilant, if we're not vigilant, it gets abused. It's not fair to us. It's not even fair to the bureaucrats. It's not fair to the Democrats. It's not fair to the Republicans. It's not fair to anyone. So Stacey Plaskett has missed the mark entirely. Meanwhile, Brandon Gill's calling out the nonsense under the last administration, calling out the nonsense of bad policy. And it's time to understand that when government runs amok, you foot the bill. That's just the truth of the matter. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politbro. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And hey, if you want to become members on the channel and keep us running as fast as grease lightning on ice, consider becoming members. You're going to get specific content catered directly towards you. I might be the face of the franchise. I might be the flashy center fielder, but I've got great starting pitching, making sure that we get news you can use, and memberships go a long way into ensuring that happens. So regardless, catch you on the next one. Till then, y'all have a good one.